the next topic we're going to look at is percent change. Now for percent change, there's two different ways that amounts can change over time. So amounts can either go up or they could go down. If the amounts are changing by going up, we would call that a percent increase. Or if the amounts are going down, we could call that a percent decrease. In either case, when you're looking at the percent change, it's going to be the amount that some quantity either increased or decreased as a percentage of the original amount. So therefore, one way you can compute the percent change is you would find the difference in the two amounts. So that's what I have right here in the numerator. So when I say new minus old, the old amount is what it was, and the new amount is what it's going to be now. So you'd find the difference in those two amounts, and then you would do that difference, whatever that number is, divided by what it was. So then this would be the fraction, which you then can convert to a decimal and then ultimately to a percent, and then that represents your percent change. Another way to compute percent change is using this formula right here. So in this formula, the B is the base, which also could be considered the whole or the starting amount, and F is the final or the ending amount. Now when you're doing these percent change problems, this lowercase p right here is your percent as a decimal. So this is your percent change, but as a decimal. Now in working with this formula, in the increase case, this percentage is going to be considered to be a positive, and in the decrease case, this percentage can be considered to be a negative. Or in other words, if in the increase case you'll have a plus right here, and then in the decrease case you would have a minus right here. Let's take a look at using this formula. F is equal to parentheses 1 plus P times B in a couple of different problem scenarios. So in this first example, it says the Dow Jones Industrial Average is one of the most commonly used indicators of the overall state of the stock market in the United States. So let's say on a particular day the Dow Jones closed at 12,875. And then the next day the stock market had a good day and the Dow Jones closed at 13,029.50. Let's find the percent change. Now in this case, when I go to find the percent change, notice from what it was to what it is now, this is going to be an increase. All right, so the amount went up. So to find the percent change, if I wanted to use this formula, so F is equal to 1, and then I'm going to put plus there because of the increase. Otherwise, you can always have a plus right here, and if this was a decrease case, then ultimately when we get that percentage, it would be a, we would see a negative in front of it, and then we would just know to report that as a decrease. Okay, and then times B. So let's substitute the numbers that we know. So then I'm going to have then the final amount was 13,029.50. The percent change is the unknown in this, and then the base or the starting amount was 12,875. Ultimately in this equation then I want to solve it for P. So I'm going to divide both sides by 12,875. So if we do that over here, I get 1.012. So this is equal to 1 plus P. Solving this thing for P, I'll subtract 1 from both sides. So we would get, maybe I'll come up over here, so we'll get 0.012 is equal to P. So this is the percent that I want, but in its decimal format. So to convert from this decimal to a percent, we'll move the decimal right 2 spots. So I would ultimately report I had a 1.2% and then an increase. Okay, make sure we're stating whether or not it's an increase or decrease. So we actually could have seen it was an increase case just by the numbers, but we ultimately then put that word on our answer as well. So what we just found then is that 13,029 represents a 1.2% increase over the 12,875. Let's take a look at another example using this formula. So in this one it says a regular price of a pair of jeans is $45.95. if there is a 25% discount and a 6% sales tax, how much do the jeans cost? Now there's a couple different ways that we could solve this problem, but I'm going to walk through using this formula as F is equal to 1 plus P times B. Now first off, the regular price of the pair of jeans is $45.95, and then after a 25% discount happened, then I would ultimately get the final price of the pair of jeans. So relating all of that inside this formula then, I would get that the final price is equal to 1 plus, now the percentage that's going to change is this 25%. Now since this is going to be a discount, you can either record the negative on the percent, or ultimately what we would do here is we would just have the subtraction be right here in the sign. Okay, so this is going to be a discount, so I want to subtract this. So this would represent then right here a 25% discount. That's how much the amount is going to change percentage-wise with respect to the starting amount, which is $45.95. So cleaning up what's going on inside these this parentheses, you would get 1 minus 0.25 is 0.75. And then I would multiply that by the $45.95. Notice that we had talked about this a little bit earlier. If you get 25% off of the item, notice you're going to pay 75% of the cost of the item. So this number still has meaning in terms of the context of this problem. So at this point in time, if you were to go to put this in your calculator, you would get that F is equal to 34.4625. Maybe rounding this one to the nearest penny then, since this is not 5 or bigger, that number is going to stay the same. So then after the discount, the jeans cost $34.46. Now on top of this, then I'm going to pay 6% sales tax. So the sales tax is not going to be based upon whatever the original price was. You only pay the sales tax on what the store was willing to charge the goods to you at. So the 6% sales tax is going to be on this amount, the $34.46. Again, using this formula, the final amount then will be 1 plus, and I have a 6% increase, or 0.06, and then this increase is going to be applied to the $34.46. Okay, so then I have 1.06 times $34.46. And again, notice that this decimal has meaning. So with regards to this item, you're still going to pay 100% of the cost of that item, or the whole thing. And then you're going to pay another 6% on top of that. So this is the percentage of 106%, but expressed in its decimal format. Throwing this in your calculator then, we end up getting then that this would be 36.5276. Since this number is 5 or bigger, I'm going to round that up. So then the jeans will ultimately cost you $36.53. Let's take a look at another application using this percent. So Sally took a 6% pay cut on her $30,000 salary, and then a year later she received a 6% pay raise. What was her salary after she received her raise? I'll give you a hint. It's not going to be $30,000. Okay, so here's where we have to be very careful what the percents are applying to. So at this point in time, when she gets the 6%, she's going to get the 6% based upon what she was making at that point in time, not some salary that she had way long ago. Okay, so again, using this formula, if I were to take the 6% pay cut, then that means the final amount is going to be 1 minus 0.06 times my 30,000. Okay, so I subtracted here because this is a percent decrease in this case. So if she has to take a 6% pay cut, she's going to keep 94% of her salary. So the 94% of 30,000 gives us $28,200. Okay, so this is going to be her salary after she takes her pay cut. So then a year later, when she gets the 6% pay raise, the 6% raise is going to be based upon this number. So at that point in time, then, the final amount is going to be So I'll do 1 plus 0.06 because this is going to be a 6% raise, and then this raise is going to be on 28,200. Throwing this in your calculator, then you get 1.06 times 28,200, or 29,892. So she's close to what she had with the 30,000, but not quite, because this 6% is only being applied on this 28,200.